The wind was cold and sharp as it blew across the cliffs of Monterey Bay. David Miller gently pulled the hood over his 5-year-old daughter's head, trying to keep her warm. This wasn't meant to be a big trip, just a short walk before heading back to their small motel. Ever since his wife passed away 2 years ago, life had been tough. Time was tight, and money was tighter. It was just David and his daughter, Lily, trying to make it through each day. Still, he wanted to give her moments of peace, even if just for a little while. He watched her run ahead, laughing in the wind, not knowing that everything was about to change in an instant. "Daddy, look!" Lily shouted, pointing toward the ocean. David followed her finger and squinted into the distance. At first, it looked like a piece of driftwood floating near a fancy white yacht anchored out in the bay. But then it moved. A splash, a flailing arm. Someone was out there, struggling, drowning. David didn't think. He dropped his jacket, kicked off his boots, and raced down the rocky path toward the water. His heart pounded as the wind tore at his clothes and the cliffs blurred past him. When he reached the shoreline, the cold waves slapped hard against his legs, but he didn't stop. He dove into the freezing water, swimming fast and strong, not caring about the danger. As he got closer, he could see her, a woman, barely holding on. She was weak, her head barely above the water. With one strong arm, David grabbed her and started back to shore, his lungs burning, his mind screaming only one thing: don't let her go. David dragged the woman onto the rocky shore, gasping for air, his arms shaking. She wasn't moving much. Her skin was pale, and her breathing was slow. He quickly took off his soaked hoodie and wrapped it around her to keep her warm. Then, as he adjusted the coat around her shoulders, it fell open slightly, and that's when he saw it. She was pregnant. David stared, his heart racing. She had nearly drowned, and she was carrying a child. He didn't know what to do, but he couldn't leave her. An hour later, they were in his small motel room, all wrapped in towels. Lily handed the woman her stuffed rabbit without even being asked. The woman looked up, her voice barely a whisper. "I'm Ava. Thank you. You saved both of us." David nodded slowly, unsure what to say. He didn't feel like a hero. He was just a dad doing his best to stay strong. But deep down, he knew this moment would stay with him forever. Something had changed, and it was only the beginning. In the small, cold motel room, David and Lily sat quietly with Ava. The woman still looked weak, wrapped tightly in towels. Lily didn't hesitate. She reached over and handed Ava her favorite stuffed rabbit, holding nothing back. Ava's tired eyes softened for the first time. "I'm Ava," she whispered, her voice barely more than a breath. "Thank you. You saved us both." David gave a small, tired smile. "I'm no hero," he said softly, "just a dad trying not to fall apart." Ava looked down at her swollen belly and then back at David. "How did I end up in the water?" he asked gently. Her lips trembled before she spoke, and when she did, David felt the weight of her story settle deep in his chest. This was more than just a rescue. It was the start of something much bigger. David listened closely as Ava's lips trembled. "I worked for a tech CEO. I was his assistant," she began softly. "We were on his yacht for a big launch party. I found out about the money laundering, the fraud. I told him I was going to go public with it." David felt a heavy weight press down on his chest. "He didn't like that," Ava said quietly. "That's why I ended up in the water." Days passed by like a blur. David let Ava stay, even though every voice in his head warned him not to. They had barely enough food for 3, but Ava shared what little she had, her stories, her laughter, and even her tears. She told them about growing up in foster care and fighting to get a good job, only to have it all threatened by greed and power. She had no family left. David understood more than she knew. One quiet night, Ava asked David, "Why did you help me?" They were sitting in the dim motel room while Lily colored quietly on the floor. David looked at his daughter, then back at Ava. "Because someone needs to remind this world that people still matter," he said softly. For David, this wasn't just about saving a stranger. It was about hope. After losing his wife, he had started to believe that kindness was rare. But Ava's story, her courage, reminded him that there was still good left in the world. Lily's innocent smile and Ava's quiet strength gave David a reason to keep going. It wasn't easy, but he wanted to believe in something better for them all. That night, David felt something shift inside. Helping Ava wasn't just an act of kindness, it was a chance to heal his own broken heart. The wind was cold and 2 weeks later, Ava's labor started suddenly in the cramped motel bathroom. David stayed calm, though his heart raced. He helped her through the sharp contractions, holding her hand tightly, whispering, "You're not alone." Outside, the storm raged, the wind howling against the walls. Fear hit Ava hard, and tears came. But David never left her side. He kept reminding her they could get through this together. Just before dawn, Ava gave birth to a baby boy. She named him Hope. David held the tiny newborn, feeling something deep change inside him. After so much pain and loss, this little life was like a fresh start, a chance for all of them to heal. Hope wasn't just Ava's baby. Hope became the reason they all found strength to carry on. Months passed, and Ava decided to go public with her story. The news spread fast. People were shocked by what she revealed about the CEO and his crimes. Investigations started, and soon the CEO was arrested. Ava became a hero, called a whistleblower for standing up against corruption. She was offered a new job, one that was honest, steady, and close to home. David found steady work again too, thanks to a community that believed in their story. A local family donated a small house for them. It wasn't fancy, but it had a yard and enough rooms for Lily, Ava, and the baby. They weren't a typical family, but they were a family. Each of them had been broken in some way, but together they found strength. That one rescue had changed everything, not just for Ava, but for David and Lily too. David, Lily, Ava, and little Hope weren't your usual family, but they shared something stronger than blood, a bond built from kindness, trust, and second chances. The small house was full of laughter, quiet moments, and sometimes tears, but always hope. David worked hard every day, grateful for the new life they'd been given. Lily blossomed in the backyard, chasing butterflies and dreaming big. Ava, now stronger and safer, focused on rebuilding her life and standing up for what was right. Their story inspired many in the community. People who once felt alone found hope through their courage. David knew this family wasn't perfect, but it was real. It was a reminder that sometimes one act of kindness could change everything. It was hope that saved them all and gave them a future worth fighting for. This was just the beginning of their journey together. David had saved Ava that day, but he soon realized the real gift was something he hadn't expected. Hope, their newborn, wasn't just a baby. He was a symbol of new beginnings and healing. Through all the struggles, loss, and fear, this tiny life brought a fresh chance for everyone. David felt his heart, once broken, start to mend. He saw how hope could grow even in the darkest moments. Their story wasn't just about rescue. It was about finding meaning when it seemed lost. It was about how one good deed could create a ripple that touched many lives. David, Ava, Lily, and little Hope were no longer just survivors. They were a family, and together they had found a reason to believe in the future again. Sometimes the smallest things hold the biggest power, and hope was theirs. David's simple act of courage sent waves far beyond what he could imagine. Ava's story sparked change, inspiring others to stand up against wrongs. People began to see the power of speaking out, even when it feels risky. David and his little family grew stronger, surrounded by a community that believed in second chances. Their home, once just a shelter, became a place of hope and healing. Lily's laughter filled the rooms, and Ava's strength became a beacon for those who had been silenced. David never thought one moment could change so much, but it did. It showed that kindness and bravery could rewrite lives. Their journey was proof that even the hardest times can lead to new beginnings. And through it all, David knew one thing for sure. Hope wasn't just a word. It was a force that could save us all. David looked around the small house filled with laughter and hope. It wasn't perfect, but it was home. Lily played in the yard, her smile brighter than ever. Ava was stronger every day, working hard to rebuild her life and protect her son. David felt a deep sense of peace he hadn't known in years. The struggles they faced seemed far away now. Together, they had made it through the storm. The community's support reminded David that no one has to face hard times alone. Their stories showed how even in dark moments, people can find light and strength. This new chapter wasn't just about survival. It was about growing, healing, and believing in better days ahead. David knew that as long as they stuck together, they could handle whatever came next. Hope had brought them here, and hope would guide them forward. David never imagined that a chance rescue would lead to something so powerful. Ava, Lily, and David were different people from different backgrounds, but together, they built a family. They weren't perfect, but their love was real. Each day brought new challenges, but also new reasons to keep going. David saw how much strength came from standing together, supporting each other no matter what. Their story spread through the town, showing that family is more than just blood. It's about caring, protecting, and believing in one another. David knew that no matter what happened, they would face it as one. Ava's courage, Lily's innocence, and David's heart had created a bond that couldn't be broken. What started as a rescue became a new beginning, a family chosen by love, hope, and the chance to start again.